Welcome to Hartfelt Beer Reviews. My name is Kyle Hart, back with yet another review. Haven't done a review in a while. I'm super excited. And what a way to come back to reviewing beer with the epitome of my beer trials, the epitome of all of the beers I have ever tasted in my life. Something that I have been searching for years and years, could never find. Prarie's Apple Brandy Barrel Aged Noir. I've heard world-class things about this beer. Absolutely can't wait to open it up, get the aroma, get it into a glass, taste it, and set my taste buds on a trip that I'll never forget. I'd also like to take you all on this trip with me to share this experience with you because I love beer more than anything in the world. I like to study it. I like to know about it. I like to know how to make it. I like to do everything that pertains to beer. Is just my forte. Now, unfortunately, I don't know the batch number of this or when this particular bottle was released, but supposedly around October of last year when they bottled some, there were infections. I don't think the infection was severe. I'm not exactly sure what happened during the infection process, or the brewing process that caused the infection, I should say. But from what I read up on it, as little information as I could find on it was it's just going to cause light carbonation. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, these stouts are usually the Prarie, especially Prarie, are known to be very motor oily and thick. But I'm going to go ahead and open it, give you a pour, give you the aroma, taste, and my rating. Cheers. Heard the hiss, so you know there's carbonation. That's just out of the bottle. Just apple skin, tobacco, vanilla, chocolate fudge. Heaven. You can just get the subtle brandy, you know. It's not quite the bourbon concentration or the bourbon punch you get in some barrel-aged beers. Bourbon barrel-aged beers, I should say. The brandy gives it a nice variation. It's a nice, distance away from bourbon, but just enough of the oak and the barrel to really come together. Man, I could take that in 1,000 times. Oh my god. This is one of those times in life that you really get to try something that's almost sinfully good. I mean, I've not even tasted this yet. And just the pour on it, I mean, it's as opaque as coal. I mean, absolutely. Black as coal. It just doesn't. There's nothing coming through this whatsoever. Just a nice kind of medium brown tannish head on there. Only got about an inch of head, if that. This is 12% alcohol by volume, so I don't expect much. And it did pour about a medium consistency. It looked like not quite motor oily, thick like some stouts can become, but it's definitely not thin. At least from looking at the pour. I think we're going to be a nice even keel on this. It's going to be just right in the middle for the viscosity on this beer, which is not bad. Again, I've not tasted a good taste then. I'm not sure, but I highly doubt that with Prarie. Wow. First thing, absolutely, the first thing I get is like Granny Smith apple skin. Very noticeable an apple tartness that's it's not too forward, it doesn't overwhelm the base beer. You still get the chocolate, the caramel, the vanillas, the roasted malts. But the apple, it really is there. And I was afraid that the apple wouldn't be there. I wanted to be able to taste the apple. It's apple brandy. I have had an apple brandy barrel age Belgian quad or triple. I can't remember what it is. It's Golden Drac. They brew they make an apple brandy barrel aged Golden Drac, and I believe that they use the some kind of like apple brandy barrel like vinegar. I don't know if that's entirely sure or entirely true or not, but this seems to have been aged in legitimate apple brandy barrels, which I absolutely adore. But again, on the nose, you're really getting just a deep roasted malt. I mean, absolutely. It's not too powerful. Doesn't get a real big kick of bitterness in this. Just a chocolate fudge sweetness. It's not a bitter fudge, not a dark chocolate. You get the vanilla creaminess, caramel, almost a toffiness in this, like an English toffee. Little saltiness from the barrel I can pick up. Just the aroma, and you just get a nice touch of the subtle oak. Again, not as forward as a bourbon barrel would be. Just a nice kind of like I would say maybe like a grape mustiness, a kind of light fruits with the Granny Smith green apple skin in there. Just to really give it a nice character that you really don't get with any other type of stout unless it's apple brandy barrel aged. I don't think there are a whole lot of apple brandy barrel aged stouts. Again, I could be wrong. I know they're not mass produced, and I know I've only seen like 3 or 4 in my entire life. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a taste and tell you what I think. Cheers. Oh. Wow. That's... wow, good God. That's so good. First thing I get, I'm going to dive back into that before I give you a rating. I get almost no carbonation. Almost no carbonation in the mouthfeel. So this could be infected. I'm not really sure. I've not had a lot of infected beers to be able to tell you. I'm not getting like the off raspberry kind of vibe that you got from a 2015 Bourbon County that was infected. I'm not getting that. I'm just getting almost zero carbonation, which doesn't make it a bad beer. Obviously you would want some carbonation, but because it is beer. But then again, it's not the worst thing in the world. I notice up front immediately is a soft, delicate oak from the brandy barrel. It's not a deep, concentrated bourbon like I've stated before. It's a nice, light barrel characteristic. You get a nice, just very subtle vanillas and caramel. I'm getting a nice, like a deep chocolate brownie almost. It's really fantastic. And then you're getting just a inviting Granny Smith apple skin. It's not really tart like a Granny Smith apple in the taste anyway, but just a nice, pleasant flavor of the Granny Smith apple. Just a little bit of sweetness to bring it in, lets you know it's apple because it's definitely apple. There's no mistaking it for any other flavor. And at 12% alcohol, it really drinks like a 9 or 10%. Granted, a few, percentages here and there, most people think really don't matter. How can you tell? But you can, if you drank enough beer, if you've studied beer like I have, you can really tell the difference between a 12 or 13% compared to a 9 or 10 or 11. It's just very smooth drinking, very easy to drink. Mouthfeel is about a medium body. It's not as thick as I'd like it to be. It is a little thin, but when you barrel age beers, they do have a tendency to thin out a little bit, which is expected. This is not boozy, it's not hot, you don't really pick up the alcohol presence. Like I said, 9-10% is what I would have guessed if I hadn't known that this was already 12%, and I would have never guessed it was that high. This is just, I almost am at a loss for words. This beer is, it's everything I expected. The only unfortunate thing about it is I have a fear that this one's infected. I can't verify that for sure, but almost no carbonation whatsoever in the mouthfeel or in the swallow. It just kind of goes down. It's not thin, it's not like water, but you'd like it to be some carbonation in there. I did hear it when I opened it, and I did get a good bit of head on the beer, about an inch of it, but it's weird. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just my personal opinion. Because I know it's carbonated to at least some degree. Because I heard it when I opened it. Now I have opened beers that had no hist, that had no carbonation whatsoever. But those were generally in much older bottles. This is really everything I expected. You get a nice, deep chocolate fudge brownie. Not bitter whatsoever, which is very, very surprising. A vanilla bean, subtle sweetness. It's not forwardly vanilla. I can't pick up like they've definitely not added vanilla to this. Just a little bit from the barrel. Like you get like a caramel cream, toffiness, sweetness, mouthfeel to it. You can taste subtle caramel notes, subtle toffee notes, a little bit of salinity from the barrel. And just a really inviting, it's not big, it's not forward, it's really inviting, pleasant Granny Smith apple skin that's just really brings this together, and it's rounded out by the oak from the brandy barrel and a little bit of like grapey, light citrusiness from the brandy. That's just out of this world. I can't tell you to go find this beer because it took me 5 years to find this beer. It wasn't only until I moved to Wisconsin that I was even able to find this. But I hope you enjoyed my review. I'm sorry if it was not as good as the last couple of reviews I've done, but this is just... I had to start out with a bang, and this one is the beer to do it with. Thank you for enjoying my review. Thanks for tuning in to Hartfelt Beer Reviews. Have a good evening. Cheers.